When a German shepherd named Grizzly enters the life of Jeremy Crawford of Riverton, Utah, they form an instant and miraculous bond, one that lives on, even when one of them doesn't. Jeremy Crawford was 16 years old when he received a very special gift. A purebred German shepherd he named Grizzly. His mother, Lana, remembers.
Grizzly came into our family when a breeder named Ella Brown, who breeds German Shepherds, heard that my son had cancer. And she said, "Would you like to have this puppy?"
Jeremy had been diagnosed with a rare form of bone cancer in 1987, and after a painful course of chemotherapy, the teenager seemed to be in remission.
Watching Jeremy and Grizzly play together gave me joy because I could see that he had come through so much difficulty with his illness to be feeling well enough to go outside and play football with his dog. It was a special day for all of us.
But tragically, Jeremy's cancer returned with a vengeance. For 2 years, he bravely battled the disease, with Grizzly by his side to the very end.
When Jeremy took his last, final breath, Grizzly ran out the door.
The dog ran directly into the path of a passing vehicle. Luckily, he escaped uninjured. Lana decided to temporarily return Grizzly to the friend who'd given him to Jeremy. A few days later, she went to the friends to bring Grizzly home. Grizzly had dug a hole under a shed and had refused to eat or drink for 4 days.
She said, "You know, dogs grieve just like humans do." And Grizzly's grieving very hard for Jeremy. So I got down on my hands and knees. And I looked down in there, and there's this sad little puppy looking up at me. He slowly dug his way out from underneath the shed, and I couldn't believe it. He was so skinny.
Lana understood Grizzly's pain. Her own life had been torn apart since Jeremy's death.
I didn't have hope for much for my future. I had no job. I just lost my home, and my marriage failed. I spent my days sleeping and crying, lying in my bed all curled up, and feeling like I was in so much pain I just couldn't stand it. A thought ran through my mind that the medication that was given to Jeremy was very, very powerful. Maybe it could take away the pain. I didn't want to go on. I wanted to be with Jeremy.
But before she could take the pills, Grizzly intervened.
He came over and he put his head on my knee and he looked up at me. And I thought, well, I really have to do this. And just about then, he took his head and went. And the pills went flying. And he stood in front of me and he barked and he barked. And I knew that I'd made a mistake. And it just woke me up. Like, oh my word, what have I tried to do? Grizzly went to the doorway of the bathroom and he turned around and he barked at me, as though he was calling me back into the bathroom. Then he stood over the toilet and barked. And I said, okay, I understand. And I took the pills and I dumped him into the toilet. And then he was satisfied. And he went back into the bedroom and laid down on the floor. I went back to my bed, and 10 or 15 minutes later, I heard this strange sound. And the closet door had opened. I thought, that's strange. I thought I was here by myself. And here came Grizzly with a shoe in his mouth. And he looked at me again and he barked, as if to say, get this shoe on and get out of bed. I put it beside me and I curled back up. He went back over to the closet, got the other shoe, put his feet up on the edge of the bed, and gave me another bark and another bark. So I thought, oh, okay, I'll put the shoes on, Grizz, just to keep you quiet. So I put on the tennis shoes, and I was so weak that basically I could only walk into the living room area.
Grizzly brought Lana her shoes every day after that, and slowly they began walking farther and farther.
And I realized he was on a mission. He and I went up the hills, around the hills. You know, there are angels among us, and he's one of them. Through Grizzly's eyes, I saw beauty again. Through Grizzly's eyes, I found purpose. And through Grizzly's eyes, he showed me that there was reason to live.
When Jeremy Crawford died of cancer at 18 years of age, it left his mother in a state of constant depression. But Jeremy's dog, Grizzly, forced her to come to terms with her grief and go on with her life. And so, in 1992, Lana enrolled in college, and Grizzly was there beside her on her first day at school. It was a day that would change both of their lives forever.
As we were walking on campus, we passed by the football field, and my heart stopped. I looked down over the field and saw these boys playing football in the same colored uniform that Jeremy wore. And all of a sudden, I saw this boy running towards us. This boy had golden, flaxen blonde hair, just like Jeremy. And he looked so much like Jeremy that I couldn't hardly breathe.
Suddenly, she remembered something that Jeremy had said to her just before he died.
Mom, you know I'm going to die. I want you to have Grizzly. He's a good dog. And you know, Mom, Grizzly has a special mission, and I want you to make sure that somehow you find a way for you and Grizzly to go be with other kids and to help kids that are sick and unhappy and who need some love. When I saw this young man come toward us, the connection came. I was going to work with children, and Grizzly was going to be with me through the whole thing.
Lana focused her academic career on developing a program that would use animals like Grizzly to work with sick and disabled children. And in 1993, she created a community-based non-profit organization now called the Utah Animal Assisted Therapy Association, the first of its kind in the state. Over the years, Lana and Grizzly have trained nearly 300 volunteers, including Betty Brown and her yellow lab, Sam. Today, they are visiting the Oak Ridge School for Disabled Children in Provo, Utah. Preschool teacher Debbie Nozawa has arranged for some one-to-one time for 4-year-old Amy, who suffers from Down syndrome.
Amy is the shyest little girl in 20 years of teaching. I have never seen a kid that is that shy. Every time I sit down with her to work on fine motor skills and things like that, she would just go rigid and freeze up on me. During the session, she was pretty nervous about the dogs and the dogs getting close and touching the dogs.
But Grizzly kept his distance.
Grizzly knew that Amy was scared. He's such an intuitive dog. He knows what children need, and he does it.
A short while later, the therapy dogs paid a visit to Amy's preschool class.
When Lana comes in, the combination of her connecting with the children and her connecting with Grizzly helps the magic happen. When we did the group activity, and she was excited, and she was going out voluntarily in front of the other kids, I could have done the dance of joy, this kid. It was so exciting to me that she would do all this.
I get to walk into situations where people are so much in pain, and almost instantly before my eyes, I get to see a transformation from utter despair to joy and happiness. And it's the best job in the world.
A young man's dying wish that his dog be a comfort to other sick children has taken his mother on an amazing journey. Grizzly saved her life and pushed her to keep going even when the pain was too much to bear. His daily presence gave her the courage to continue her education a decision that brought her face to face with an important message from her son. And today, Lana shares the miracle that Grizzly gave her with other people who need his love and care.
I just hope that people will understand that there's nothing that you cannot do if you keep the faith.